welcome in Philip Diehl, President, U.S. Money Reserve, to the show to talk about your assessment of the markets. Folks are trying to navigate through some pretty volatile markets over the last few weeks. The ceasefire is considered fragile. You do have a U.S. delegation likely to go to Islamabad on Saturday. What do you think of the whole thing?
Well, it's really hard to see what's going to happen. We just have so many imponderables at work right now. And we only have 2 weeks for some of these issues to be resolved. And they look so far apart. The two parties are so far apart and have dug their heels in. They've bought themselves a little bit of time. But I'm even skeptical that the 2-week ceasefire can hold. We're forgetting that there are 3 parties involved here. We talk about the United States and Iran, but Israel's involved as well. And Israel has a very different strategic objective in this war than the United States has. It's not necessarily in the same position that the president and our country are in on dealing with Iran.
Yeah, and to your point, there was a report from the New York Post that Israel hit Lebanon. They were concerned about Hezbollah, and they said that's not part of the ceasefire. And so there have been reports from Bloomberg that the ceasefire, not that particular thing, I mean, I don't know which one it is, but that there have been a ceasefire deal that has been violated 3 times already, according to Iran's parliament speaker. So you're absolutely right. It's very fragile, and we just don't know at this point. But the outlook on, commodities like oil, like gold, what do you see?
Well, I think oil prices are going to be stickier than what people are anticipating. For one reason, of course, it's because we only have a 2-week reprieve here. The second reason is that there are a lot of countries that have pulled from their strategic reserves. And they're going to be aiming to refill those as quickly as possible. And, of course, to get them even above the levels they were before the war started. This has really been a cautionary tale for many countries that have ignored the OECD's recommendation for how much oil they should have in their reserves. So I think there's going to be demand above the baseline that we saw before the war because of that hoarding or stockpiling. And so I think people are going to be somewhat disappointed by how much oil prices, gasoline prices, fall over the next several weeks and longer.
Were you surprised to hear from the Fed minutes that they talked about a prolonged war could actually mean a tough time for jobs, and that would warrant cuts? I know they were actually making the case for both hikes and cuts, but part of the language was the concern about the labor market. Are you more worried about inflation and a hike, or labor and a cut?
Well, it's hard to choose one of those two devils. And of course, that's the problem for the Fed. Once you get into a stagflationary cycle, then it really becomes hard to get out. And based on our experience in the past, it's really painful to get out of it. But I think the Fed right now is probably more concerned about jobs. And part of it is that we've been seeing signs of weakness in jobs off and on over the last 6 months. But also, I think there's a lot of disquietude about what the implications are in the job market of AI. We're hearing a lot of talk about the likelihood that AI is going to create more jobs than it destroys. There'll be different kinds of jobs, and I think that may be true, but it's not going to be true in the short term. The short term will be very disruptive, I believe, and I think especially with young people just coming into the job market.
And so what are the opportunities? How do you position to benefit from this environment?
Well, with a cold, hard look at what the opportunities are, if you're a pessimist about the prospects for the ceasefire, then you look at defense stocks, you look at oil stocks, Occidental Petroleum in particular has been performing well. You look at discount retail shops. I like Walmart in that regard. I am out of the Magnificent Seven, except for NVDA, of course, and Amazon. But I'm in Amazon not because of its role in AI, but because of its role in the retail sector, and also in cloud services. I've never been interested in crypto. I'm not interested in it today. I think there are many other good opportunities out there that don't require you to take the risk that crypto imposes.
You know, there were some folks who were taking money off the table. They just saw further downside risk overall because the war goes on, the ceasefire is fragile, the Iran parliament saying that it's already been violated, the uranium, you know, supposedly the U.S. is going to go get that enriched uranium. It feels like it's not over, right? So what do you expect could happen in the next few days even?
Well, that's really hard to say. The president has painted himself into a corner, and he's gotten a 2-week breather here to figure out how he's going to get out of it. Now, one possibility is somebody comes in and knocks a hole in the wall, and he's able to escape that way. I don't know who that would be. I don't know how it would occur, but he's able to pull rabbits out of the hat on a regular basis. However, I think that really the dynamic has changed for him. I think given the political opposition to the war, he was really led to believe that 2 things would happen if he went to war with Iran. Number one, it'd be quick and easy. He'd be able to get in and get out. Sort of the same mistake that Putin made in Ukraine. The second is that he expected a rally round the flag political response in the United States, and that simply did not happen. He didn't get any kind of a boost from it, and as the war has proceeded, his political standing has deteriorated. So I think this is going to make him very cautious about really taking another aggressive step when this 2 weeks come to an end. But he has a lot of face at stake in this confrontation. And so I think it's really hard to predict what he's going to do.
Yeah, nobody knows. Philip Diehl, thank you. President, U.S. Money Reserve, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.